So, Joe, welcome to the Lexic Mind podcast. It's nice to have you on. You're from Joon Health. We're looking forward to learning more about your company and also about the Joon app and Joon Pet Games app as well. I've seen a lot of the Instagram commercial on this, and that's why it interested me and I reached out to you. Today, what we'll do is, we'll learn more about the company, learn more about the apps and the solutions you'll have out there. But then we're going to dive into it and actually get demos of the product itself. I think that'll be useful for our users. So with that said, Joe, let's start off with a quick intro, and then we'll jump into the app and do the demo.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and really excited about the things that you all are doing at the podcast. So, just a little background about myself. I'm the director of clinical and scientific strategy here at Joon Health. I've been here for just about a year, and basically, I lead all of the clinical and research initiatives at the company. Prior to that, so just some background on myself. I was actually a professor at Florida International University down in South Florida, where I basically taught PhD students who how to become licensed psychologists. That's my formal training is as a licensed clinical psychologist, and I spent 8 years there building out clinical programs, research programs, providing a lot of treatment services to a broad base of children in elementary age who had things like ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, learning problems. It was great working with those families. And I think one of the things that always kind of kept me up at night is that we were only providing services to a small subset of the families that really needed it, which is what kind of piqued my interest in how can we leverage technology to have a greater impact on the people who really need it. And that's kind of what led me to kind of move on from that role and then kind of come into the digital health space where I'm at now.
Excellent. And Joe, could you talk to me about Joon Health and what the offerings are? And then also, if you could just give an overview on the apps itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the neat things about June Health and one of the things that really kind of piqued my interest in wanting to join such a great team is that they were really developing solutions that were meant to help families and kids that really needed it. And the way that they were doing this was they were kind of taking things that were strategies and skills that, I spent in my time as a psychologist and working with families. I spent kind of teaching parents a lot of these skills, but none of these had really been digitized really well. And so in the case of the June Pet game and the June app, which I'll demo here for you today, what was really neat about it is it took these sort of principles that we already knew about how to set up reward systems and reward charts and how to get kids to be really motivated to complete homework and complete routines and things like that, and it put it in this digital format. And I hadn't really seen anyone do that really well. And that's kind of what June is all about. The backstory of it, that I've heard the founders of the company tell is basically several of our founders actually, they themselves had ADHD or had ADHD as children. They really set out to build a really engaging, fun video game for kids. And then they were like, when they were kids, they played a lot of video games as kids, and they thought, is there a way that we could use video games to help better motivate kids to really engage in the real world and complete things and meet expectations that were being set on them, in the real world. That's really what ultimately June is all about. So I'm happy to walk through a demo if you want me to.
Yeah, let's jump into that.
Yeah. The core principle of this is basically parents, just in a nutshell, parents set up tasks, which we call quests. And these are real life behavioral expectations. So these are things like cleaning your room, making your bed, getting your lunch in your backpack. And as the child completes these quests, they earn coins. And these coins can be redeemed in a virtual video game, where the only way to really be successful in the video game is to actually be successful in real life. And that was the concept that really stood out to me. And so in order to execute on this, there's essentially two components. There's a parent app that the parent uses and downloads onto their device. And then there's a child video game that the child uses and they download onto their device. So I'm going to demo the parent app first, and then I'll show you the kid video game. Let me
Sure.
pull this up here. Okay. So can you see that?
Yes.
All right. So this is basically the home screen that the parent sees when they first log into the app. They can have more than one child. So this we just have one child here for the demo, but it basically shows the progress of all the kids that are connected to the app. And then down here, you'll see there's various things that they can click on to like navigate through the app. But the real core thing is what the parent wants to do is sort of see what is the progress that my child is making and how can I set some, some more goals for them. And so for this child, you can see here, there's essentially three incomplete quests or tasks that the parent needs to review. And when you click on this, you'll see, Johnny has not checked off the following quest. So this means that Johnny still sees this in the video game, but the parent, doesn't have anything to approve yet. Once Johnny says, "Hey, I've done this," it actually then shows up over here and asks the parent to approve that they've done it. And when the parent approves that, they earn these coins and these amounts. And that's very heavily customizable by the parent. So the way a parent can set up a new quest is they can go down here to create quest, and then you'll see they can essentially customize a bunch of different aspects of the quest. So let's just say the quest was, make your bed in the morning. And then it asks the parent, how difficult is this to motivate your child to complete? So the parent says, oh, it's kind of medium difficulty. And you can see as I adjust the slider here, the corresponding number of coins also changes. So more difficult tasks reward a greater number of points, right? Because the child may need more motivation there. And easier tasks reward fewer points. And so the parent can kind of customize this little slider. Let's say it's, medium to hard. So now the child will earn 12 coins for completing this quest. Parents have the option of putting this under a category if they want. If they have multiple children, they can actually assign this to multiple children just by clicking a checkbox. And if they have a specific time that they want this to be done, let's say in the mornings, they can select that here. You could do repeating quests. So let's say the parent thinks, I want this to be a quest that the child completes every weekday, but not on Saturdays or Sundays. So we can deselect Saturday or Sunday. So it says this quest will repeat Monday through Friday every week. The parent probably wants to review the quest. Parents can also require completion photos. So if they don't want to go into the room, the child can actually take a photo directly from the game, and it'll show up in the parent app. And the parent can review that and then click approve if it meets their expectations. And they can also communicate using completion notes with the child. Other options are things like, is this a mandatory quest, meaning the child actually has to complete this in order to even open the game? This is really good for parents who are concerned about things like screen time, because the child really can only use the game if all their quests are mandatory, if they actually complete those quests. Otherwise, they're not really going to be able to do very much in the game.
So would that be like a pop-up notification that requires them to, complete the task before getting that access to the game? It'll
It's not
stop
really a
them.
pop-up. They can still open it because in order to see the quest board in the game, you have to have it open. They just won't
Mm,
be able to like go and navigate the world and do
got
anything
it.
fun until they've completed the quests that are on that quest board.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And then once they've done that, they create the quest, and then this will appear in the child's game, and then also appears on this quest board here for the parent to see. That is the core sort of function of this. If you click on Johnny, parents can actually see day by day progress. So we don't have any data in here because this account was a sample account created today. But normally it would show how are they doing. You could go back and look on Sunday, how many of their quests did they complete, and then if we go over to creating a reward. So the coins are redeemable in the game, but for some parents, they also want the child to have an option to redeem the coins outside of the game. So let's say, for example, my child wants to be able to spend 30 coins to get ice cream or spend 15 coins to stay up 15 minutes later. Parents actually have the ability to set that up in the app as well by creating what are called custom rewards. So if you do this, create reward, they can put a little emoji with it if they wanted. Oops. And then you could say, ice cream, and that'll cost you 50 coins. And that's for Johnny. And now there's a reward that's created. So as Johnny earns coins, the parents have the ability to go over to rewards and give Johnny ice cream and then say, hey, he purchased this So that comes out of his coin bank for use in the game. So the game really, again, tries to merge the real world with the virtual world in a really compelling way to keep kids engaged, but also to get them motivated to actually complete these quests that are being assigned by the family.
Got it.
So that's the parent app. In a nutshell. I don't know if there's questions before I show the child app.
Yeah, a few questions, and I think it will be helpful to kind of get an idea of the child app for sure.
Sure.
But in terms of target age ranges, right? Who are you targeting?
So the target age range is really elementary age. So this is like between the ages of 6 and 12. So in our user research, we've seen that the 6 to 12-year-old demographic is the ones that we have the best retention with. There's probably a couple of reasons for that. And, one is the below 6 are going to have a little more difficulty sort of understanding where to go in the game, what to do in the game. There is some reading, although we do have in the game, because we do want to be sensitive to neurodivergence, the ability for them to click and it'll actually read to them. So there's a little microphone icon. They can click on that in the game and it'll read it out to them. Above 12, we start to see those. You tend to navigate towards different kinds of games. So this video game, and I'll show it to you here in a bit, it's kind of a cross between, remember Tamagotchis way back in the day, where you're raising a virtual pet, like Tamagotchi and like Pokemon. And so, you're essentially sort of raising this pet doter. The more things you do, the better they grow, the more food you can buy for them. And kids over the age of 12 tend to navigate towards different kinds of games at that age, like role-playing games, things like that. And so they're not as interested. Now, with all that said, we have kids over age of 12 who definitely enjoy the game, and we definitely have kids below 6 that also use the game. But I would say, on the whole, it's primarily that demographic that it's being used with. I'll also add that while the game, in the principles underlie the game could really help any parent who's struggling with routines or behavior problems with any kid, regardless of whether or not they have a diagnosis. We also tend to see a lot of our user base is, families of children who have ADHD, ODD, things of that nature.
And Joe, I was actually going to ask a little bit more on that, but I guess we'll just get to the main event and then we'll talk about it as we
Sure.
go, if that works. Yeah.
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 Yeah, sure. So let me hop over to the child game. Here. I'm gonna do this one on my phone, mostly because we don't have a desktop version of this. So this is what's called the care screen. And basically this is the pet doter that this child, Johnny, has. So going back to the quest board that I showed you there were 4 incomplete quests that the child had not yet completed. Over here in the right lower corner, you'll see an exclamation point. And it's kind of pulsing, right? And so what's that saying to the child is, hey, you have unfinished quests that you need to complete. So if I click on the quest board, you can see that here it shows all the quests that are expected of the child today. So the make your bed in the morning is the one that we added. So let's say I'm Johnny and I've completed these. I just click complete, and now it goes back to the parent for review. Let's say I did all these things. Okay, so now I don't have any coins yet from my parent, but if I go back, oops, you'll see it says 3 quests to review. And so now this shows a little bit differently. It's basically saying, Johnny showed me that they completed these at these times. I checked and I say, yep, they completed all these, approve, got it. And now when we go back to the game, you'll see the quest board is clear. And in the top left-hand corner, you'll see I have 16 coins. And so those are the coins that I earned for those quests that I completed for today. And so now what I can do is I can actually purchase things with those coins in the game. If I go here, you'll see here is basically different accessories that I can buy to like accessorize my doter. So I need 40 coins to do that. I only have 14. Let's click through and see if there's other things I can get for them. Nope, no close. So I need to do a few more quests in order to really buy things for them. But that's basically how this works. You'll see over here on the left-hand side, pulsing exclamation points. So these icons are basically telling me my doter either needs to be fed, loved, or cleaned. And you can see For feeding them, you basically click on that, and then you can feed them these little things here, and then you can buy more food. So, I'll use 6 of my coins to buy them Zingnana, and now I can just feed him that, and now he's a happy donor. I can love on him, just let you pet him, and I can clean him.
Very cool.
And yeah, so that's where you care for them. And then once I'm ready to go kind of explore the Joon world, I can go into the backyard and basically the donors walk around here and you can customize your backyard. There's different things that you can purchase to drag into your backyard. I don't have any decorations because again, I would need more coins. But you kind of get the general principle there is my ability to sort of just drag these things. So if I claim this reward, I can take this white fire pit and drag it anywhere there in my backyard. And as kids kind of earn more coins, they can buy more things and they can customize this backyard even further. So that's basically how the kid game works. And happy to answer any questions on that.
Oh, this is excellent. So this is essentially they kind of build their own world behind that, right? With exploring, the backyard, building a whole
Yeah,
whatever they want, right? So this is all driven by earning those rewards by completing the quest, and then that
right.
unlocks this. So it gives them a built-in incentive to complete these and continue to do that. And I also like that you could actually essentially cash out and go get some real world things to reward yourself as well. So I think that's a good balance to have. I could just see this being very useful because it's funny we're talking about this over the weekend. My 6-year-old daughter, we bought her like a reward chart, right? So we are trying
Yeah.
to and we today our biggest thing is to come up with those tasks, right, and see what the rewards are. So this is like very relevant for me, and we might try this out actually and see. And but I could see this really being a motivation factor and also something that taking care of a pet and all that's a good skill to have as well for these kids, right? So I see that to be very valuable. So a few questions, Joe. So in terms of you're targeting neurodivergent kids, right, 6 to 12. I'm curious as to like for what's kind of the clinical reasoning behind all the clinical side of this, right? So how does someone that's an ADHD, right? How does these tasks and rewards, or quests and rewards help them complete the task? Like, is there any insights you could provide on that front?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, one of the things we know, really, just from pure behavioral principles, right, is
Mhm.
that reward and reinforcement works, right? Now we know it works when it's utilized with kids with ADHD or other mental health challenges, and we also know it works for really any kid, right? But the challenge, I think, is in executing that on a consistent basis. And this is something I used to emphasize all the time with families that I would work with is kids, there are certain kids who can kind of, you can go long lengths of time where they're not getting a lot of feedback, not getting a lot of rewards, and they might do just fine. Then there's other kids that are going to need it to be more consistent, right? And it might be that every time they do something, they're going to need to get that. And so I think what this helps facilitate for parents is that consistency, right? Like I've just had so many parents that I've developed reward charts with where they say, oh, I totally meant to use the reward chart. I had the best of intentions, but we left it at home while we were out, shopping. Or, I've come up with a reward chart with them working one on one, and then they say, oh, we lost it. We hung it on the refrigerator, but I don't know, must have fallen off and gone underneath, or, all kinds of stuff like that. And I think what is really unique about this is it allows families to be more consistent because it's always with you. And even if the game isn't with you, right, the kid can go home and play the game when they get home. But for the parent, it's just right there on your phone. You pull it up. You can reward Johnny right then. That the child gets that immediate feedback. And so it's eliminating a lot of the hurdles that made it difficult for families to implement some of these programs consistently and effectively. which was kind of making them not work as well as they could work for kids.
That makes sense. And then in terms of the audience itself, is this US based only, or is it?
No, it's open for anyone. It's internationally available. Yeah, so anyone can download it. They can go
Mhm,
to juneapp.io, and
mhm.
that's where they can kind of sign up for an account or go into the App Store and search for either June app for the parent app or June Pet Game.
Is it a subscription based product?
Yeah, so
Mhm.
there's a free version available. The free version basically allows you to assign and review and approve up to 7 quests per day. If you want to unlock, more quests than that, which typically families do, especially if they have more than one child, then it's an annual subscription of 89.99. We can also share with you a promo code that'll give we can give to families as well.
And we'll put the promo code details in the notes and description. Then, Joe, the other part is the game itself just for the families, the immediate family only, or is there some sort of a social element where, kids could share with other kids as to where they are in the overall game and what they've built?
Yeah, so this is an excellent question. So obviously our top concern, our top priority is always child safety, right?
Yep.
So I think it's really important to emphasize for your listeners that children can't even download this game and play it unless the parent intentionally connects their account to it. So kids can't start using the game without a parent being connected to it. And this is basically to give parents the ultimate visibility into, hey, my kid is playing this game, they're using this game. So with that said, right now, that's something internally that we're talking a lot about in terms of executing on social features. Right now, the most that you see is other people's doters kind of wandering around in the backyards that I showed you. But they're not actually talking with one another or communicating with one another because, again, we want to make sure that we build that with the appropriate guardrails to ensure safety for kids. But they can see sort of, oh, that child bought, a cool hat for their doter or something like that. But, it's not really like connecting with your friends or connecting with anyone other than your parent. That's the only person that the child can
Yep.
connect
Yeah.
with in the game.
Absolutely. And I've been in the tech world, so I see, I definitely, and being a parent, I definitely see the concern on that. But I also am a big proponent of using technology to kind of
Yeah.
advance and scale. And honestly, to be honest with you, like I have 1.5-year-old twins as well. And they already know what a remote is. They all already know where my phone is, and they know whose phone is whom's, right? So it's
Yeah,
it's not like you could avoid these things because we are emoting some of these behaviors ourselves, right? So it's a matter of how do you harness that to and be for the better of it, but having the right guardrails, right?
absolutely.
And that goes to our personal privacy and also, our loved ones as well. So, but I see this being a value add and a key enabler, and especially for kids that are neurodivergent, right? I think
Yeah.
it's another tool in the toolbox to be successful, have a win daily, right, and have a reward system. So I think that's very helpful.
I
And
think
I'm
also,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll also add, I think also fostering independence for them, right? So many times I think it's easy as a parent to sort of swoop in and say, oh, here's your task list, here's your things that you need to get done. What we're really trying to do here is we're putting it back in the hands of the child, right? Like you can
Yeah.
open your game and you can open your quest board and you can see exactly what you need to do for the day without a parent necessarily needing to say, come on, Johnny, get this done. And a lot of parents are actually, we did an internal observational study that basically showed that it was reducing conflicts between parents and their children uh, based on the parent report. And so, we think the mechanism for that is basically it's putting it in the hands of the child to say, like, here's what you need to do in order to earn your coins. If you want your coins and you want to play the game, then look at your
Yeah.
quest board and do those things. And I mean, we've even had parents who are saying, my child has never asked for more things to do, but now they're asking for even more stuff to do, right? Which is a
uh,
really good sign.
Joe, I'm telling you, like this is like we hits home really well because yesterday we kind of introduced the reward chat, didn't do any tasks, right? And she was already cleaning the kitchen, like sweeping the
Yeah.
floors, knowing like she'll get something. So I could see the motivation, and especially like in the mornings going to school, right? Like, okay, brush your teeth, get ready. There's a mad rush to, get to drop-offs, right? So just
Right.
to eliminate that back and forth stress and, the rush behind it, I see there's a lot of value in using an app like this. And I think it's going to be very useful. So, in terms of the game itself, I'm just curious, what has been the feedback? Anything? I know you've done a lot of studies behind this too, right? But any notable stories or points to share with the group?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I mean, we have reviews, and you can see these reviews in the App Store all the time. But I think for us, we definitely share them every meeting we have. We always share a comment from a parent that really reflects, and I would say like without pointing to any specific comment, like the gist of these comments from a lot of parents is we have tried everything, and we were sort of on wit's end, and we didn't know what else to do, and we went and we downloaded this game, and my child really loves it, and it's really helping to, all kinds of, it ranges, right? Everything from it's really helping to reduce arguments between me and my kid to, my child is doing really well successfully in school now because they're actually like completing their homework, and or they're teaching the child's learning new things just by using the app, right? And learning how to be more independent and learning how to add their own, unique take on executing. So, and I think that's what keeps us going, right? Is like,
So,
look, these are families that are in desperate need. They've tried other things, and now they have a tool that is really helping them. With all these challenges they're facing. Parenting's hard. Like I have three kids, and there's no manual.
yep.
And so I think, it's good to keep that in perspective.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this has been really helpful, Joe, and I think our audience will definitely find it useful. As Joe said, there will be a promo code that we'll put in the show notes where you can use and get a discount. So look out for that. But I'm going to download this myself because this is going to be very useful for us, and I hope you too as well. So, Joe, thank you for being on. Thank you for the work. We'll follow your journey and the company's journey and keep our audience up to date. And if there's any new developments that come along, please let us know and we'll have you on and do a similar demo. So thank you for being on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Really excited to, to help families out. So.
Thanks, Joe.